whose Taiwan travel checklist doesn't hide a bustling historic old street. But did you know? The 2024 Taiwan Historic Old Streets popularity ranking has seen a major shakeup, with former internet-famous top spots being dethroned. The real choices of 30 million tourists are revealed, and some long-circulated popular myths have been debunked by official data. Today, let's rediscover Taiwan's historic old streets and unlock the truly hidden gem check-in destinations. After discussing the overall data, let's take a look at the specific rankings. The 2024 Taiwan tourism hotspots have witnessed a surprising reshuffle, according to the latest official statistics. You may have had your own favorite old streets in mind, but numbers don't lie. The most popular tourist attraction in Taiwan in 2024 turned out to be Lukang Old Street and its surrounding areas, drawing an astonishing 17,301,379 visitors throughout the year, directly seizing the top spot as the dark horse of the year. Closely following is Wenhua Road Night Market in Chiayi City, with 15,983,038 annual visitors, claiming the second place. The third place goes to Amping Old Town in Tainan, including the Amping Old Street area, which welcomed 14,495,255 visitors over the year. Here, we need to clarify several widely spread claims. After verification with authoritative data, these statements either lack up-to-date evidence or are inconsistent with the facts. For instance, the previous claims that Cuisine Old Street in Kaohsiung recorded 6.13 million visitors from January to September 2023 and Tamsui Old Street exceeds 10 million annual visitors are not supported by the latest official data and contradict the 2024 statistics. Specifically, Tamsui Old Street in Taoyuan attracted 6,289,995 visitors in 2024. Although slightly down from 6,988,420 in 2023, it still maintains high popularity. However, due to the remarkable tourist growth of other attractions, it dropped out of Taiwan's top 10 tourist attractions list. As for Tamsui Old Street, including its surrounding Tamsui Golden Waterfront area, the annual visitor count in 2024 did not reach the 10 million mark. According to related statistics from Taiwan Tourism Bureau, it received approximately 3.8 million visitors for the whole year. In addition, Ruifang Scenic Area, which includes the well-known Jufan Old Street, recorded 3.54 million visitors in 2024. Another claim you might have heard is that Tamsui Old Street is 3 times more popular than Tokyo's Sensoji Temple. This statement is not only unsupported by authoritative data but also inconsistent with the facts. A simple data comparison makes it clear. According to the latest 2025 data released by Sensoji Temple's official authority and the holiday travel platform, as an iconic landmark in Tokyo, Sensoji Temple receives a stable 30 million visitors annually, with 2.8 million worshippers in just the first 3 days of the new year, averaging about 82,000 visitors per day. In contrast, even during peak periods, Tamsui Old Street only sees around 12,000 daily visitors. The gap in scale is evident, and there is no basis for the claim of being 3 times more popular. That said, as a classic Taiwan landmark, Tamsui Old Street remains a must-visit check-in spot for tourists. During holidays, the prime stretch from the ferry terminal to the intersection of Junction Road is still packed with visitors, maintaining strong popularity. Some viewers may wonder, behind these figures, how much economic boost can old streets bring to local communities? In fact, the impact is comprehensive. Let's take 2 specific examples to illustrate. First, Tamsui Old Street in Taoyuan. Its cultural tourism market has an annual output value of approximately 1.5 billion RMB, with catering, accommodation, and cultural and creative product sales accounting for the main share, directly driving over 500 local jobs. Even though it dropped out of Taiwan's top 10 list in 2024, it still retains strong market appeal thanks to its steady tourist flow. Next, Lukang Old Street, the 2024 popularity champion, with its annual 17.3 million visitors. It has directly fueled the vigorous development of local-related industries such as traditional snacks and folk experience activities. Surrounding cultural attractions like Sensoji Temple and Longshan Temple have also benefited, forming a tourism economic circle centered on the Old Street and radiating to the surrounding areas. Beyond these direct impacts, Old Street tourism also indirectly boosts the development of related industries such as transportation, logistics, and agricultural product processing, injecting sustained vitality into the local economy. More importantly, the economic value of old streets lies not only in short-term gains but also in long-term brand effects. Leading old streets like Lukang Old Street and Amping Old Street have become iconic symbols of Taiwan's tourism, and their brand influence attracts a large number of international tourists, providing crucial support for the international development of Taiwan's tourism industry. In addition to popularity and economic value, the architectural style of Taiwan's old streets is another major highlight. These buildings are vivid imprints of diverse historical periods, integrating architectural features from different eras to form a unique architectural and cultural landscape, with clear historical records documenting their evolution and characteristics. Looking back at the architectural evolution of Taiwan's old streets, Qing Dynasty period, the architecture was dominated by traditional Fujian-style shophouses, mostly featuring gable roofs covered with red thin tiles, and walls built with either round earth or red bricks. The street-facing side was equipped with arcades locally known as Ting Ai Ka, which are perfect for Taiwan's hot and rainy climate. They shelter pedestrians from rain and sun while serving both commercial and residential functions. Today, well-preserved Qing Dynasty Fujian-style shophouses can still be seen in old streets like Lukang Old Street and Shattering Old Street, where weathered red brick walls and simple wooden door frames seem to quietly tell the story of the bustling market scenes from a century ago. Japanese occupation period. This marked a critical transformation stage for the architectural style of Taiwan's old streets. At that time, the Japanese colonial authorities implemented the Urban Improvement Plan, which could have destroyed the original historical style of the old streets. However, local residents turned the crisis into an opportunity, creatively combining Western Baroque style with local architectural elements to form a unique Baroque-style shophouse. The most distinctive feature of these buildings is their ornate facades. Merchants spared no expense to hire architects and imported building materials to carve exquisite patterns and emblems on the facades, and some even inscribed their family clan names, shop names, or surnames. Moreover, the decorative patterns on the gable walls are rich in symbolism. For example, vase patterns symbolize peace, and bagua patterns are used to ward off evil spirits, perfectly integrating practical functions with cultural connotations. The southern section of Mingquan Street in Sensoji Old Street is a typical representative of this style. On both sides of this 200-meter-long street, arcades built with red bricks are paired with facades combining Baroque and Fujianese characteristics, leaving a deep impression with their delicacy. Back then, wealthy merchants even specially invited professional architects from Britain to design this exquisite commercial street, showing their great attention to it. Tamsui Old Street also completed its style transformation through the Urban Improvement Plan, and its Baroque buildings with red brick archway facades have become the most distinctive symbol of the old street, forming a unique architectural spectacle. Modern period. The architecture of Taiwan's old streets has featured the principle of preserving tradition while integrating innovation. In the process of revitalizing and renovating old streets, local governments and residents strictly preserve the appearance of traditional buildings and carefully restore characteristic elements such as brick carvings, archways, and arcades. Meanwhile, they carry out modern renovations on the interior to adapt to modern commercial needs such as catering, cultural and creative industries, and exhibitions. For many tourists, the core motivation for visiting old streets is to taste authentic local delicacies. These foods are more than just simple dishes. They carry local, historical heritage and the perseverance of craftsmen. And each old street has its own exclusive signature dish with a unique flavor. Let's start with Tamsui Old Street in Taoyuan. Its culinary signature is undoubtedly Tamsui dried tofu, which many visitors who have been there will never forget. The production process of Tamsui dried tofu is extremely exquisite, with a history of over 100 years. It uses high-quality black soybeans as raw materials, which are first soaked for a long time to fully soften, then ground into fine soybean milk. After boiling, gypsum is added for coagulation, followed by pressing to form blocks. Finally comes the key marinating step. More than a dozen spices including star anise, cinnamon, rock sugar, and soy sauce are added, and the tofu is simmered slowly over low heat to fully absorb the essence of the spices. The resulting dried tofu has a shiny black color, a chewy texture, and a savory flavor. It is delicious whether eaten directly, stir-fried, or cold. Today, Tamsui dried tofu has developed into many varieties, including original flavor, spicy flavor, five-spice flavor, and vacuum-packed versions, which are convenient for tourists to carry. It has become an important culinary calling card of Tamsui Old Street, directly driving the development of local characteristic food processing industry. In addition to dried tofu, the glutinous rice sausage in Tamsui Old Street is also distinctive. It uses high-quality glutinous rice mixed with ingredients like shiitake mushrooms, dried shrimps, and diced meat stuffed into pork casings and steamed. When eating, you can add peanut powder, sweet and spicy sauce, and other condiments according to your taste, enjoying a soft, glutinous, and fragrant flavor full of traditional charm. After removing scales, gills, and internal organs, the fish meat is beaten into a fine paste with the back of a knife, seasoned with a small amount of starch and salt, then squeezed into round balls by hand and boiled in boiling water. The finished fish balls are chewy, and when you bite into them, you can still see the fish meat fibers inside, bursting with fresh flavor. Iron eggs. The production process is relatively complex. Fresh quail eggs are first boiled and shelled, then marinated in a sauce made from soy sauce, rock sugar, star anise, cinnamon, and other spices for the first time. After marinating, they are taken out to air dry, then marinated again in the sauce. This process of marinating and air drying is repeated several times, until the eggshells become hard and tough, turning into a dark brown color. Iron eggs have a firm texture, taste more fragrant as you chew, and have a balanced sweet and salty flavor, making them an excellent snack. Agay, a unique specialty of Tamsui. Agay is a transliteration of the Minnan dialect, meaning fried tofu. Its preparation method involves hollowing out fried tofu, filling it with soaked glass noodles, then drizzling with a special sauce made from soy sauce, sugar, miso, etc., and steaming it in a steamer. The steamed agay is soft and flavorful, with the fried tofu fully absorbing the sauce, and the glass noodles absorbing the aroma of both the tofu and the sauce, resulting in a smooth texture and a particularly unique taste. In addition to these well-known old streets, many other old streets also boast distinctive culinary specialties. Shanking Old Street. Known as the Tofu Kingdom, its tofu dishes are unparalleled. The signature dish is crispy, stinky tofu, made from high-quality local soybeans fermented using traditional techniques. then deep-fried in high-temperature oil until golden and crispy, with a crispy outer layer and tender inner core. When you take a bite, the juice inside bursts out instantly, and the unique fragrant stench hits your senses, making you crave more and more. There is also the traditional tofu soup, made with fresh soft tofu, added with green vegetables, dried shrimps, and other ingredients, and simmered in broth, offering a fresh and sweet flavor that perfectly balances the richness of the stinky tofu. Today, Shattering Old Street has also launched many innovative tofu dishes, such as tofu ice cream and tofu cake, combining traditional tofu with modern desserts, which are loved by many young tourists. Taiwan Old Street. Its food is full of Hakka customs, with osmanthus series dishes being the most representative. Every year when osmanthus flowers bloom, the entire Taiwan Old Street is immersed in a strong sweet fragrance of osmanthus. Local residents pick fresh osmanthus flowers to make various delicacies. Osmanthus honey is a standout. Fresh osmanthus flowers are layered with rock sugar and marinated for several months, allowing the osmanthus aroma to fully infuse the sugar. Brewing a cup with warm water, it is sweet and delicious, with the osmanthus fragrance lingering in your mouth for a long time. There is also osmanthus ice glutinous rice balls. Handmade glutinous rice balls are boiled and put into iced osmanthus syrup, with a small amount of ice added. Eating them in summer is cool and refreshing, and the osmanthus aroma bursts in your mouth instantly, dispelling the summer heat. In addition, the pig cage cake in Taiwan Old Street is also a distinctive Hakka traditional snack. It uses glutinous rice flour to make thin wrappers, filled with ingredients like dried radish, minced pork, and shiitake mushrooms, then steamed, offering a soft and glutinous texture and a savory flavor, truly a taste of home that many Hakka people away from home miss. The reason why these old street delicacies are loved by so many people is not only their delicious taste, but also the history and emotions they carry. The production techniques of many of these foods have been passed down for over 100 years, with craftsmen from generation to generation adhering to tradition while constantly innovating, allowing these classic flavors to adapt to the tastes of modern tourists. Moreover, these foods all use local ingredients. Integrating local natural resources and folk culture, every bite is an authentic taste of Taiwan, enabling tourists to better understand local cultural characteristics while enjoying the food. It can be said that old street food has become an important part of Taiwan's old street culture and one of the core attractions that draw tourists here. Beyond architecture and food, the cultural connotation and local memories of Taiwan's old streets are the key factors that make them truly unique. These old streets are not just tourist attractions. They are carriers of collective memories for Taiwanese people, preserving many unique cultural customs and historical traces, with each old street having its own exclusive story. Let's start with Lukang Old Street. As mentioned earlier, its streets are winding and curved, and this design is not random. It embodies the survival wisdom of the ancestors. Located along the coast, Lukang is subject to strong sea breezes all year round. The curved streets can effectively block the sea wind, making the interior of the streets warmer and more comfortable. Additionally, in the turbulent social periods of the past, the complex street layout also served a defensive function, slowing down the speed of external intrusions and protecting the safety of local residents. This design that perfectly combines practical functions with survival wisdom has become one of the most unique cultural symbols of Lukang Old Street. Today, walking along these winding streets and looking at the old buildings on both sides, you can almost travel through time and space, feeling the resilience and wisdom of the ancestors who strived to survive in harsh environments. Every corner may hide unexpected historical traces. Next is Tamsui Old Street. Its most distinctive feature is the sky lantern culture, And many of you have probably heard of the Pinxi Sky Lantern Festival. The sky lantern culture of Pinxi originated in the early mining period, when the Pinxi area was rich in mineral resources, and many people made a living from mining. Miners worked in harsh and dangerous underground conditions, and their families would release sky lanterns at night to pray for their safe return. The height and direction of the rising sky lanterns also allowed miners to judge the weather and direction on the ground. As time passed, the mining industry gradually declined, but the sky lantern culture was preserved and evolved into a local characteristic folk activity. In 2010, the Pinxi Sky Lantern Festival was named one of the world's best festival events, bringing Pinxi's sky lantern culture to the international stage. Today, every year during the Sky Lantern Festival, Tamsui Old Street is packed with tourists from all over the world. Everyone writes their wishes and blessings by hand, lights the sky lanterns, and watches thousands of sky lanterns slowly rise into the sky, illuminating the entire night sky. A spectacular scene. Sky lanterns are no longer just a carrier of folk activities. They have become the cultural calling card of Tamsui Old Street, carrying the local residents' love for their hometown and their adherence to tradition, and allowing every visitor here to feel this unique cultural charm. The nostalgic cinema in Taiwan Old Street is also an important representative of Taiwan's Old Street culture. It is one of the few remaining nostalgic cinemas in Taiwan, full of a sense of the times. The exterior of the cinema retains the style of old-fashioned buildings, with a somewhat faded sign at the entrance. Stepping inside, the dim lighting, old-fashioned wooden seats, and retro projection equipment instantly transport you back to decades ago. Classic old movies are screened here all year round. Sitting inside to watch a movie, you feel as if you've traveled back to an era without smartphones or short videos, allowing you to calm down and appreciate the charm of cinema. In the past, this nostalgic cinema was not only a place to watch movies but also a social hub for local residents, where many people left their youthful memories. Today, it remains a cultural landmark of Taiwan Old Street. Witnessing the transformation of Taiwan Old Street from a quiet mountain station to a popular tourist attraction, the self-service food culture in Jinshin Old Street showcases the simple folk customs of Taiwan's old streets. At the entrance of Guanggan Temple in Jinshin Old Street, there are many snack stalls. The stall owners arrange various prepared dishes neatly on the tables. Tourists can pick up plates themselves, choose their favorite foods, and then go to the owner to pay after selection. This self-service dining method has no complicated procedures and requires little verbal communication, relying entirely on trust between tourists and stall owners. Many tourists say that this dining method is very warm and intimate, just like eating at home, allowing them to feel the warmth of Taiwan's old streets. This self-service dining culture has been passed down for many years, becoming one of the most distinctive cultural features of Jinshin Old Street. Last but not least is Amping Old Street in Tainan. It carries the earliest history of Taiwan's development and is one of the important birthplaces of Taiwan's historical culture. The Amping district, where Amping Old Street is located, was once the ruling center during the Dutch colonial period and an important port during the Qing dynasty. In Amping Old Street, you can see many historical relics, such as Amping Old Fort and Eternal Golden Castle, which are important witnesses to Taiwan's history. The cultural connotation of Amping Old Street is also reflected in local folk activities. For example, every Dragon Boat Festival. A grand dragon boat race is held here, attracting a large number of tourists to watch. Every Mid-Autumn Festival, local residents hold traditional moon-watching activities, inheriting ancient folk culture. In addition, the reason why Amping oyster omelette is so famous is also related to its history in the early years. Amping was a fishing village rich in oysters, and local residents used oysters as raw materials to make various delicacies. After years of inheritance and development, Amping oyster omelette has become a local signature specialty. These unique cultural connotations and local memories have elevated Taiwan's old streets beyond the status of mere tourist attractions, making them important carriers of Taiwan's history and culture. Each old street is like a thick history book, recording the development and changes of the local area and carrying the emotional sustenance of the residents. For local Taiwanese people, old streets are childhood memories and the taste of home. For foreign tourists, old streets are a window to understand Taiwan's history and culture, allowing them to deeply experience the unique charm of Taiwan. It is precisely because of these rich cultural connotations that Taiwan's old streets can stand out among numerous tourist attractions and maintain long-lasting appeal. However, the development of Taiwan's old streets has not been smooth sailing. Many old streets have experienced the crisis of decline due to industrial changes, traffic rerouting, the rise of new business districts, and other factors. Fortunately, these old streets did not fade into obscurity. Instead, they achieved a remarkable revival by adhering to tradition and continuously innovating, becoming models of integrating cultural inheritance with industrial development. Next, let's take a look at how these old streets achieved their transformation and development. First, Tamsui Old Street. Its transformation journey can be described as inspiring. Tamsui Old Street rose to prosperity in 1918 with the development of the mining industry. At that time, a large number of miners flocked here, driving the development of surrounding businesses, and the old street flourished as a result. However, as mineral resources gradually depleted, the mining industry declined. A large number of miners left, and Tamsui Old Street fell into silence. Fewer and fewer tourists came, and many shops faced the risk of closure. Faced with this predicament, local residents did not give up but began to actively explore a path of transformation. They discovered that Tamsui Old Street had unique railway resources and sky lantern culture, so they came up with the idea of combining the two to create a characteristic tourism project. They utilized the abandoned railway tracks to develop the unique train through the street experience, allowing tourists to take retro-style small trains to travel through the old street, experiencing the collision between retro and modern. At the same time, they scaled up and branded the Sky Lantern culture, organizing the annual Tamsui Sky Lantern Festival and promoting it through various channels, making the festival increasingly famous. The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 dealt another heavy blow to Tamsui Old Street. Tourist numbers plummeted by 90%, and many long-standing old shops were on the verge of closing. But local merchants refused to be defeated by difficulties and took the initiative to seek solutions. They began to expand online sales channels, moving local specialty foods and cultural and creative products to online platforms, attracting online customers through live streaming sales and e-commerce platforms. Meanwhile, they launched a variety of creative cultural and creative products, such as sky lantern-shaped keychains, postcards, and bookmarks, which were well received by consumers. Some merchants even innovatively launched the virtual sky lantern experience project. Tourists can write their wishes online, generate virtual sky lanterns, and watch the virtual sky lanterns rise through live streaming, allowing them to experience the unique charm of Tamsui sky lanterns without leaving their homes. Through this series of innovative measures, Tamsui Old Street successfully weathered the crisis. According to the latest statistics, as of 2024, Tamsui Old Street has more than 120 characteristic shops, with an annual turnover exceeding 1.5 billion new Taiwan dollars. Among them, the annual income from sky lantern-related industries alone reaches 300 million new Taiwan dollars, directly driving over 500 local jobs. The successful transformation of Tamsui Old Street has also provided valuable experience for the development of other old streets. The revival of Lukang Old Street focuses on the integration of traditional building revitalization and commercial innovation. Once, due to port silting, the rise of new business districts, and other reasons, Lukang Old Street was on the verge of decline. Many old buildings fell into disrepair, and shops closed one after another. To save Lukang Old Street, local governments and residents joined hands to formulate a development strategy of protecting traditional style and injecting modern vitality. In terms of protection, they invested a large amount of funds in the renovation and preservation of the old street's traditional buildings, strictly preserving the appearance of structures such as red brick old houses and antique temples, all of which have been well maintained. At the same time, they established a historical and cultural exhibition hall to showcase the development history, folk culture, and traditional crafts of Lukang Old Street, allowing tourists to gain a deeper understanding of its cultural connotation. In terms of innovation, they actively introduced new business formats such as cultural and creative industries, characteristic catering, and folk experience activities, breathing new life into the old buildings. For example, some old residential buildings were transformed into cultural and creative workshops. Inviting craftsmen to settle in, tourists can personally experience the making of traditional handicrafts such as oil paper umbrellas and embroidery here. Some abandoned shops were converted into characteristic restaurants, offering dishes that blend traditional and modern flavors, allowing tourists to enjoy the unique charm of old buildings while tasting delicious food. This development model of preserving the appearance and updating the core not only protects the historical and cultural heritage of Lukang Old Street but also meets the needs of modern tourists, transforming the old street from a simple commercial district into a diversified block integrating history, culture, food, and tourism. Relying on this model, Lukang Old Street has successfully attracted a large number of tourists, recording 17.3 million annual visitors in 2024 and topping the list of Taiwan's most popular tourist attractions. It has become a successful model of Old Street revival in Taiwan, proving that as long as the balance between tradition and modernity is found, old streets can regain their vitality. The transformation of Taiwan Old Street relies on cultural excavation and business format upgrading. Taiwan Old Street rose to prominence thanks to the opening of the Taiwan Branch Line Railway. It was once an important station along the railway line, and commerce prospered accordingly. However, as the railway's transportation function gradually weakened, Taiwan Old Street became increasingly quiet. To make Taiwan Old Street bustling again, local governments and residents began to deeply explore local cultural resources, such as railway culture and Hakka culture, to create characteristic attractions. They restored part of the railway tracks of the Taiwan Branch Line and introduced retro-style tourist small trains, allowing tourists to take the trains to enjoy the scenery around the old street and experience the charm of railway culture. At the same time, they built characteristic attractions such as Taiwan Suspension Bridge and Guangji Temple, which not only retain their original historical appearance but also have been properly renovated, becoming popular check-in spots for tourists to take photos. In terms of business format upgrading, Taiwan Old Street has introduced many characteristic catering and cultural and creative shops, such as restaurants specializing in Hakka cuisine and small stores selling Hakka cultural and creative products, enriching tourists' experience. In addition, the nostalgic cinema in Taiwan Old Street has also been renovated and upgraded, retaining traditional projection equipment and decoration styles while introducing modern audiovisual technology, allowing tourists to enjoy a better viewing experience while immersing themselves in the nostalgic atmosphere. Through these initiatives, Taiwan Old Street has successfully transformed from a quiet mountain station into a popular tourist attraction in Hsinchu, attracting millions of tourists every year and becoming a golden calling card of Hsinchu's tourism. Last is Amping Old Street in Tainan. Its transformation and development rely on the in-depth development of historical and cultural resources. Debunking Old Street is rich in historical relics, such as Debunking Old Fort, Eternal Golden Castle, and Fort Zealandia, all of which are important historical and cultural heritage sites in Taiwan. Local governments have fully utilized these resources to connect Debunking Old Street with surrounding historical relics, creating the Debunking Historical and Cultural Tourism Area, allowing tourists to visit multiple historical attractions in one stop and gain a more comprehensive understanding of Taiwan's early development history. At the same time, they have optimized the commercial format of Debunking Old Street, introducing many cultural and creative shops and characteristic restaurants themed on history and culture, such as small stores selling Debunking Old Fort cultural and creative products and restaurants featuring Dutch colonial-style delicacies, allowing tourists to purchase characteristic cultural and creative products and taste authentic food while visiting historical relics. In addition, local governments have organized various historical and cultural-themed activities, such as the Debunking Development Culture Festival and the Dutch Colonial Period Historical Exhibition. Through these activities, more people have learned about the historical culture of Debunking Old Street, enhancing its popularity and influence. Today, Debunking Old Street has become one of the most important historical and cultural tourist attractions in southern Taiwan, recording 14.5 million visitors in 2024 and ranking third among Taiwan's tourist attractions, successfully transforming historical and cultural resources into tourism economic benefits. These transformation and development cases of old streets tell us that tradition and innovation are not mutually exclusive. Instead, they can complement and promote each other. The development of old streets must not only adhere to the traditional cultural core and protect historical buildings and folk culture, these are the roots and soul of old streets, but also keep pace with the times, continuously innovating business models and product forms to meet the needs of modern tourists. Only in this way can old streets maintain their vitality amid the changes of the times and achieve sustainable development. Finally, let's talk about the differentiated charm of various old streets in Taiwan. In addition to the common characteristics of architecture, food, and culture mentioned earlier, each old street has its own exclusive core competitive advantages, and it is these unique resources that enable them to stand out in the fierce tourism market competition and form distinctive tourism appeal. First, Nanzhuang Old Street. Its core advantage lies in the perfect integration of unique natural landscapes and Hakka folk culture. The most famous attraction in Nanzhuang Old Street is osmanthus lane every year in the 8th lunar month when osmanthus flowers bloom. The entire lane is enveloped in a strong sweet fragrance of osmanthus, with the air filled with a sweet scent. Bees flying among the flowers, and butterflies fluttering around the lane, as if stepping into a fairy tale world. Walking in osmanthus lane, even your clothes and hair will be tinged with a faint osmanthus fragrance, a natural scent that no perfume can replicate, attracting many tourists to visit specially. In addition to osmanthus lane, the tongue flower scenery around Nanzhuang Old Street is also very famous. Every year in April and May, the mountains around Nanzhuang are covered with white tongue flowers. When the breeze blows, the tongue flower petals fall with the wind, like snowflakes covering the entire old street, forming a stunning tongue flower snowfall scene, which attracts a large number of photographers and nature lovers to check in. In addition, the Hakka folk culture of Nanzhuang Old Street is also very distinctive. In addition to the Hakka cuisine mentioned earlier, there are many traditional Hakka folk activities here, such as Hakka folk song performances and Hakka dance shows, allowing tourists to deeply experience the charm of Hakka culture. The differentiated charm of Jinshan Old Street lies in the dual superposition of historical heritage and leisure resources. Jinshan Old Street has a history of over 300 years, retaining many antique traditional shops, such as old-fashioned barber shops, rice shops, cloth stores, and grocery stores. These shops all maintain their original appearance. Stepping inside is like traveling back 2 decades ago, allowing tourists to feel the pure local customs. At the same time, the area around Jinshan Old Street is rich in leisure resources, the most famous of which is Jinshan Hot Spring. Jinshan Hot Spring is a sulfur spring with clear water and suitable temperature, containing a variety of minerals beneficial to the human body, with excellent health-preserving effects. Many tourists, after strolling and eating in Jinshan Old Street, will go to soak in the hot spring to relieve the fatigue of the journey and enjoy a leisurely time. In addition to hot springs, there is also the Fish Road Ancient Trail around Jinshan Old Street, a historic hiking route with beautiful scenery along the way, where you can enjoy natural landscapes such as mountains, streams, and waterfalls, making it an ideal choice for tourists who love outdoor activities. This dual advantage of cultural experience plus leisure vacation allows Jinshan Old Street to attract tourists of different types, forming unique tourism competitiveness. The differentiated charm of Tamsui Old Street stems from its unique geographical location and the integration of diverse historical imprints. Located on the banks of the Tamsui River, Tamsui Old Street is surrounded by mountains and rivers, boasting magnificent natural landscapes. Especially at dusk, when the sun sets, the golden sunlight shimmers on the surface of the Tamsui River, turning the entire river into a golden hue. The distant mountains and the nearby Old Street buildings complement each other, forming a stunning sunset picture. Many tourists specifically choose to come to Tamsui Old Street at dusk to admire this rare beauty and feel the romantic atmosphere. In addition to natural landscapes, Tamsui Old Street is also rich in historical imprints. Since the Spanish landing in 1629, Tamsui has become an important port for Taiwan's foreign exchanges, experiencing multiple historical periods including the Dutch colonial period, the Qing dynasty, and the Japanese occupation period. Architectural styles from different periods blend and coexist here, forming a unique open-air architectural museum. Walking on the streets of Tamsui Old Street, you can see not only Fujian-style arcades and Japanese-style wooden houses, but also Western-style churches and foreign-style buildings. Each type of architecture carries different historical stories, allowing tourists to experience the charm of Taiwan's diverse historical culture during their visit. The differentiated charm of Jinshan Old Street lies in its unique combination of film and television cultural IP plus historic mountain town. Located on the mountain in Ruifang District, Jinshan Old Street is a typical mountain old street, with streets built along the mountain and winding and turning. The buildings on both sides are antique Fujian-style arcades, full of a nostalgic atmosphere. In 1989, director Hu Shaoxian chose Jinshan Old Street as the filming location for his movie A City of Sadness. After the movie was released, it received high attention, bringing the once quiet mountain town of Jinshan Old Street back into the public eye. In 1991, the classic work Spirited Away by famous Japanese animator Hayao Miyazaki was released. Many audiences found that the scenes in the movie were very similar to Jinshan Old Street, although Miyazaki himself did not explicitly state that Jinshan Old Street was the prototype of the scenes. It did not prevent Jinshan Old Street from becoming a must-visit check-in spot for Spirited Away fans. A large number of Japanese tourists and animation fans came here specially to look for the scenes in the movie and experience the magical atmosphere in the animation. This boost from film and television cultural IP has successfully brought Jinshan Old Street to the international stage, making it one of Taiwan's most internationally renowned old streets. Although Ruifang Scenic Area including Jinshan Old Street only recorded 3.54 million visitors in 2024, failing to make it to the top 3 of Taiwan's tourist attractions, its international influence remains strong, and it is a must-visit destination for many foreign tourists coming to Taiwan. As the 2024 popularity champion, The differentiated charm of Lukang Old Street lies in its profound historical and cultural heritage and intact traditional style. As one of the oldest old streets in Taiwan, it retains a large number of historical buildings and folk culture, worthy of being called a living fossil of Taiwanese culture. Compared with other old streets, Lukang Old Street has a relatively low degree of commercialization, allowing people to more intuitively feel the original traditional market customs. Traditional handicraft shops such as old-fashioned blacksmith shops, sugar refineries, and rice shops still use ancient techniques for production, exuding a strong sense of the passage of time. In addition, it hosts a rich variety of folk activities. Every Lantern Festival, the Lukang Lantern Festival lights up the entire Old Street with various exquisite lanterns. During Mazu's birthday, grand procession activities are held, with a lively and bustling atmosphere. These unique cultural experiences have made Lukang Old Street stand out among many old streets and successfully top the list of Taiwan's most popular tourist attractions in 2024.